All right, everyone. On behalf of Juvlon team, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone to our today's webinar, Email on Mobile. Are you there yet? In this hot season, a very hot topic, right? Thank you for sharing your time with us today. My name is Smita, and I'm working with Niche Software Solutions as a marketing manager. And I handle the marketing for our email marketing tool called Juvlon. Today we have Mr. Naresh Bhaktani with us, who will be sharing his observations and tips of making emails mobile. That's interesting. Let me read a little bit about Naresh. Naresh is Managing Director at Niche Software Solutions. He is the architect behind the email marketing product Juvlon. His valuable experience of over 8 years in the field of email marketing has helped us engineer and market Juvlon. Besides running the business, he actively consults clients on best practices and strategy to derive the most out of email marketing. I'm sure post this session you definitely would want to hear a lot from Naresh to know what we can do to make most out of our email marketing strategies that we have. Alright, now before we turn all our attention over to Naresh, I just had few reminders about the webinar. Please note that our session is being recorded and we'll make the link available to everyone after the session. And I'm really very happy to say that we have a very good attendance for today's webinar. Due to this, we have kept everyone on mute to ensure that any background noise and conversations are kept private. So don't worry even if your phones are not on mute. We have taken care of it. Okay, to ask the questions, please make use of the question box, the box where you all have typed in your city and other information. Please go ahead and type in your questions, your comments, or anything else that you want us to see. And post Naresh's session, we will attend all the questions. We'll try to attend. We might not be able to attend everybody's questions and not all the questions, but just in case if we miss out any question during this live session, we'll be preparing a question and answer document which will be shared with everyone post the session. Just like what we will be doing with the recorded link, we'll be sending this link also to everyone. Okay. I'm sure everybody is all set for this action-packed, informative and interactive session. So now, without wasting much time, I'll be transferring the line to Naresh. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita, for that brief introduction. Good morning, folks. This is Naresh Bhaktani, ladies and gentlemen. And I head the company Niche Software, which has created this email marketing product, Juvlon. I want to thank you for attending this webinar. I want to thank you for the overwhelming response for registering for this webinar. We've haven't been able to accommodate everybody, but I'm sure everybody will get the webinar recording nonetheless. So I have contributed to the development of Juvlon since the last 6 years, and I've been consulting on email marketing since more than 8 years now. But enough about me already. This is not about me. This webinar is about email marketing in the mobile world. And why is it important for you to start in the right way or keep going in the right direction? Throughout the webinar, I will make several references to mobile email, which simply means email that you view on the phone. So what's in store for you in the next 40 minutes or so? I will show you some facts and figures about the smartphone landscape in India. I will cover mobile email stats, and moving on, I will cover design approaches for mobile email and design tips. Then we'll conclude this webinar by answering some of your questions. Just a few seconds ago, I mentioned smartphone landscape. Why smartphone? Because ever since emails could be read on your mobile, the device has been called a smartphone. So it's natural to assume everyone who has a smartphone can read email on it. I'd like to begin with something more interactive. I'd like you to tell me how many of you over here own a smartphone. So Smita, can we roll our first poll, please? I'd like you to answer this question, yes or no. Do you use your mobile to check and read emails? And you're going to wait for about 10 seconds. And I think we have quite a few of you answering here. That was a rhetorical question. And let's see the let's see the results here. We're all in, correct? And as expected, all of us here are smartphone owners. And I had to ask, just to set the stage for a bigger picture, and the bigger picture being this country, India. How many smartphones do you think are there in India? And no polls for this, I'm just going to give it to you. We're talking about 207 million smartphones by the end of this year, 2014. That's about 20 million, 20% of our entire phone population in India. With about 1 billion phone connections, that's 20%. That's going to be more than all the smartphones put together in the US. As of June 2014, that's in about 2 months, India will have about 185 million mobile internet users. These are very good numbers, and there's really no stopping their growth. The thing with smartphones is that there are so many different companies. How do you figure out what to concentrate your effort on? If you want to make an email, what would you make an email for? But thankfully, as marketers, we only need to deal with the operating system that's running on the phone, and not really the manufacturer. This leads me to my next question for you. We're already getting very interactive here. Smita, our next poll says, what smartphone OS do you have running on your phone? I'd love to know what the distribution is amongst the audience here. So we're going to wait for another 10 seconds. And yeah, we're almost there. Cool. Let's see the results. So Android going once, twice, and Android actually wins by a mile. I expected this. Given that I know the next set of stats that I'm going to show you. It's no surprise. India is Android country, folks. This is IDC data from about 7 months ago. I agree it's not absolutely current, but I'm pretty sure that these numbers are still intact. There's no major shift in the numbers. I mean, look at this, 91% Android. This even shows if you concentrate your effort only on Android, you may be set. But let's see what the worldwide numbers look like. And I'm not saying that you should only concentrate your effort on Android. That's just not going to work. The smartphone share globally, smartphone OS share, operating systems, it seems the whole world is also quite gung-ho about Android. And it's dominating the smartphone market share at about 78%, more than that. iOS here has a sizable share compared to, as far as India is concerned, about 3% at iOS, and whereas worldwide we're talking about more than 15%. Okay, so now you know some numbers about smartphones and smartphone OSs, etc. But what do you think these millions of people are doing on their smartphones? What is the most popular app on a smartphone? Begs the question. No surprises here and no guesses for this one. It's email. Of course it's email. I mean, what would be the point of this webinar if I didn't come around to this? And it's this sheer usage of email on the smartphone that is driving mobile email opens to over 51%. This share is increasing every month at the cost of desktop opens. Bottom line, more mobiles, more usage. Are we ready to take advantage of this medium? How different is this medium, and how does the general public, and how do we react to email on mobile? It's important to know this. For example, what would you do when you get an email which does not look good on your mobile, which does not look proper on your mobile? I'm going to ask you yet another question and yet another poll. We're going to get really interactive now. If you get an email on your mobile that does not look good, what would you do? Would you delete it? Would you unsubscribe? Would you view on the computer in any way? Would you save it and view it later on the computer? Or, zoom, pinch, scroll, and try to read it anyway? What would you do? I'm going to wait for these answers, and we have some active involvement here. Cool. Let's see the results. Let's see the results. Even while you're putting in those numbers, let's see the results. Good. Okay. So a majority of you would just dump the email if it does not show well on your mobile. But let's see what the general public does in the same situation. This was a survey conducted by Blue Hornet. They asked the same question to over 10,000 subscribers. I agree. This data is a little dated. It's a survey conducted in 2012. But consumer behavior does not change easily. The results are still valid. Nearly 70% of subscribers simply dump the email if it does not look proper on their mobiles. Whereas you guys here attending this webinar are a little more forgiving. So yes, a lot of you would still view it on the computer. That's what you said. But a majority of you still think that you should delete it. But I'll tell you what has changed in the last 2 years since this survey was run. It's that email app that runs on your mobile. The email app has now been updated to render emails much better. But emails still need to be designed well for mobile if you want to drive return of investments. And I'm about to tell you exactly how you do that. There are two major approaches you could take while designing your emails. The mobile-only approach, or you could go responsive and the mobile-only approach, or you could go responsive design-wise. Mobile-only is a term that I've coined. In the online marketing industry, the same approach is called mobile-first. But in the email context, the approach is really mobile-only. And now it's time to go deep. Let's talk more about mobile-only and responsive design in a lot more detail. So for the mobile-only approach, the approach asks you to design your email primarily for the mobile. You can assume that the same email will render reasonably well in desktops and tablets too. You've got to think small screen, 300 pixels wide, 500 pixels long at the most. You have got to get your word across, or at least get interesting within this real estate. You have just about 10 seconds to do that. Preferably design your emails in a single column. This works best on all screen sizes. Ideally, if you design your email within a fixed width of 580 pixels, it will show well across all devices. The email app on your mobile will scale down this to 200 to 300 pixels. Let me show you in examples right away. I'm going to start with our own webinar email that you should be quite familiar with. The images are not absolutely crisp because I had to scale them to fit without losing perspective. So I hope it's clear enough for everybody to see. On your left is the mobile version. Notice it starts with a line of text which has a register now link within the first line. link is spaced well, so if you tap on it, you're not accidentally tapping on other links. My call to action is covered early and visibly on the screen without needing to scroll down. Even the register now button in orange is very tap friendly. You can see that on the right hand side in the desktop version. The text is large enough on the mobile to be legible. There is enough information of what this email is about right on the first screen, so that you're intrigued to read further or simply go ahead and register for the webinar. This email simply scales up for the desktop. It was tested on the desktop, but was really not designed for the desktop. It was designed for the mobile. I'm going to take you to the next example. This is an email that I receive on a daily basis from dictionary.com. It's not a promotional mail like the webinar email. It's a short newsletter, so I can learn a new word every day. Again, a very good example of a mobile-only email. Their previous emails were not like this at all. I could hardly read the text on my mobile. They recently changed their design. Because your email app shrinks everything down, these guys simply blew everything up. Everything is big and clear in this email. The word of the day banner, the word itself, the social media images, and the text in the email, all except for the advertisement, are big. All assets are large enough for you to see clearly. And it all appears even larger when viewed on the desktop. But that's not a problem at all. In fact, it's even more clear. Now I'd like you to hear me out on the other approach, which is responsive design. We talked a little about mobile design, mobile-only design, and now we're going to talk about email, responsive email, and then we'll come back and compare both these. Responsive email design simply means you can adapt your design depending on the screen size of the device. So an email can show itself differently on your mobile and your desktop. And you have full control of what can be shown in these versions. So you could actually show different content on different devices. I'll show you examples of these in a few moments. But you need a specialized skill set to create and implement this kind of a design, a responsive design. Your HTML designer should know how to use media queries with CSS3. And I don't want to get too technical, but that's all part of HTML5. So let's just jump into the designs. You will get a much better idea about this. This is the first design. This is a promotional email that we had for our own software. We ran this promotional email on different networks on their permission-based lists. And on your right, you see the desktop version. On your left is the mobile version. How is this responsive? What we've done is that we've changed the layout we designed this email on a desktop, and then we changed the layout for it for the mobile. So we check for the screen size of 300 pixels. If the screen size is 300 pixels or less, what we do is actually remove some content and restructure the rest of the content. What have we removed here? You can see the image of our customer, Dharmendra Rai, it's actually missing from the mobile version. Something that we could do with the text that was enough in the mobile version. Otherwise, what was happening is that if you would include the image, the text would scroll down further, and I would lose the call to action which says try for free. So what we did was we removed the image, we increased the size of the ABCs, and we structured the layout of the text so that it appears in one column. And this was done exclusively for mobile. So this is responsive. So what I'm doing is I'm not just changing the layout, I'm also actually changing the content of my mobile email to make it crisper. Let me show you another example. This is a great example for mobile for a responsive design. A mobile-only approach would fail miserably in this approach, in this design. This is a product grid view. Right? You have on the desktop email, you have 4 products in a row and another 4 products in the lower row. Whereas in the responsive design on the mobile, the immediate change that you can see, there are only 2 images in a row and 2 rows of those images. So they're being very selective in the products that they display on the mobile. If you notice the banner which says mega deals, that's actually different. It's not the exact same banner that has been used on the desktop email. It's been blown up. The words have been blown up. So the banner image is actually different. If you notice above that, you will see the navigation options are also different. There are fewer navigation options available on the mobile. And if you see one line above that, you will see an extra line in the mobile for you to go ahead and view the full version of the same email. So these are content changes that have been brought about. Design changes and content changes have been brought about in 2 different versions of the same email. Now they haven't made 2 different emails and they're sending out two emails per person. That's not the case. The same email holds the code for mobiles or a smaller screen size and for the larger screen size. So there is just one piece of code that delivers 2 different designs. I'm showing you the third example of the responsive design. Here too, the content changes are visible clearly. The desktop version, which is on your left, shows extra information in the top, on the top, the name of the person, the points that they have, and validity, etc. That's missing from the mobile version. What else? If you see the navigation, that's different on the mobile, and it's different on the desktop. Even here, the image has been changed a little bit to structure for the mobile. So there are 2 different images being shown for the desktop and the mobile. Plus, you see that big black guild group image that's missing on the mobile side. So a lot of control that is available to you if you go in for a responsive design, depending on the device type or the screen size. Right. But there are buts. Did I tell you that responsive design does not work everywhere? Did I forget to mention that? Oops. This approach, the responsive design approach, holds a lot of promise, but media queries, which is the basis of identifying screen size, is not supported by several mobile operating systems and apps also. They're not supported by every app there is. The native email app on your Android and the iOS on your iPhones have support for this responsive design. But the Gmail app on both iOS and Android does not support responsive design yet. Windows Phone has hardly any support for responsive design. So you see, it's not all rosy on this side of the field. Time to compare design, folks. Which approach wins it? Let's see. The mobile-only design works everywhere. It's bare bones, has its constraints, but responsive design and the responsive design can really let you stretch your design canvas, capitalizing on different devices. But you cannot beat the ease and simplicity of the mobile-only approach. No special design CSS3 skills. Also the mobile opens which are growing and that's in its favor. This 51% number that is eating away into the desktop share. In a couple of years, I see this as close to 70%, questioning the need to create mails for different devices. Also, did you know that 30% of smartphone owners in the world are exclusively mobile? Which means 30% of these smartphone owners rarely use the desktop. So I see this and I say the results are in, folks, and my money is on mobile only design. And if mobile only approach were a real body, they'd be, you know, breaking the bubbly right now. But hold it. My question is, isn't there something in between? An approach which would be as easy as the mobile only approach, and that would extend to larger screens and offer better design capabilities. Something like a hybrid design. And I'm going to hold the bubbly for the mobile only approach and show you this. Let's see this. On your right is a 2-column newsletter email from CNET. It features content and an advertisement. The same thing on the mobile, on your right, appears as a single column. That's the way it should on a mobile screen. The content is neatly stacked. Moreover, the content from the second column automatically shows up below the content of the first column. That's also very neatly stacked. But let me tell you, there is nothing responsive in this design. There is no media queries here. It's simple HTML tables that are coded intelligently. This approach actually doubles up for a mobile-only approach and is adapted to different sizes, different screen sizes. It serves as a great example of a hybrid approach. And folks, while we're at this, if you have questions and queries, just push it into the chat box in your toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll take it up shortly. Right, so this is what I just covered. Now, no matter what design approach you take, there are some simple design tips or guidelines that are relevant to mobile emails. Let me cover those guidelines for you. Well, you need to keep it simple and straightforward nonetheless. Use large fonts. Because your email AMP will shrink everything, you need to compensate. 14 pixels, text size, 22 pixels, headings, ideal formats. It's useful to keep links clear. Use underlines. Just having a link in a different color will not do. Preferably, make the calls to actions as buttons of 45 pixels by 45 to accommodate for the tap of the finger. Try to keep images to the minimum and lower in the email body. Your content has to be crisp. That's what I mean by a word diet. And I just came across this 20-40-80 rule, which is really golden as far as mobile email is concerned. Try to keep your sender name to 20 characters or less. Try to keep your subject line to 40 characters or less. And your email headlines to 80 characters, or at least get your point across in the first 80 characters of your first sentence. On your right, I've shown how a screen capture of an inbox within a Gmail app of a mobile. The first line of every email is dedicated to the sender. That's the large, bold sender name. The next two lines are dedicated to the subject line and the first few words of the email body. So this is where you have time enough and an opportunity to capture your subscribers' attention. It appears this format appears slightly different in an iPhone. You get 3 lines. After the sender name you get 3 lines. So you have the opportunity to show more text in that. And that's why they say 80 characters is good to get your point across or get them interested. And these design tips, what I've documented here, are applicable to no matter which design approach you take. It does not matter. It's golden as far as mobile email is concerned. But the question is, I'd like to know, do you, from our audience here, are you already in this? Are you already designing emails for mobiles? And after a pause, I'd like you to answer if you're already designing emails for mobile. If yes, no, but you do want to start, and no, you don't have any such plans. So yeah, okay. 10-second break and the results are in. Okay, I think we're clear on this. There you go. So about 58% of you have not started yet, but you don't want you want to start soon. That's as healthy. A 35%. That's excuse me. That's pretty good. I mean, 35%, a third of the audience here is actually has already dived into designing mobiles for email. And that's very healthy. Excellent. This is just get to know between you marketers what are the activities happening between each other. So, but now question is, are you restricting yourselves to just emails? Is it enough to say that I'm designing emails for mobile? Is it enough to say that my email designs are mobile friendly and I've covered my bases over there? I don't think so. You're missing the bigger picture. And let me tell you what the bigger picture is. The bigger picture is ROI, return on investment. We still need to look beyond optimizing emails for mobile. What happens after a customer actually clicks on your email? Is that person actually is going to your regular desktop page? Are your landing pages optimized for mobiles? Are your forms optimized for mobiles? I mean, are you registering them with optimized pages? If they're supposed to conduct a call to action, if they're supposed to give you some information, is that coming in easily through the mobile? Those are the things that you really need to look forward to. You need to look into in much greater detail. Email is an entry point. You need to look further. Now, with that, I'm pretty much done with the content I have. But I do believe we have some very good questions that have come up. And I'd like to take up those questions with Smita's help here.
Oh yeah, that really was really very helpful, Naresh, and I'm sure I was just trying to note down all the points that you had just mentioned in the webinar today. It's like probably we have realized that we cannot afford to miss on mobile friendly email designs, as there are no desktop only users nowadays as far as the emails on mobile goes. Friends, we also heard about clever HTML or hybrid designs and how they work. Having said all this, Naresh also spoke about mobile only designs. That was really very interesting, mobile only. He also shared some important design tips for how to go about mobile-friendly emails. I'm sure all these pointers are definitely going to help all marketers like me to go ahead and dive into email which are mobile friendly. We have lots of good questions that have come up, Naresh, and I would just like to read them out and get seek your suggestions on this. Angel is asking that how do you hide the header? This question came in when we were talking about responsive emails, responsive email design. Naresh?
Right. Just a second. Just a second. I'm going to answer that. Right. So how do you actually hide the header? I I believe the question points out to the changing the content. In the sense, a responsive design could actually help you show different content, hide some content as far as mobile is concerned. So it's all a part of that media queries, right? And it does get very technical. So what we can do in order to answer Agnel, is that Agnel? Agnel, right? Agnel. Um, Agnel's question is that I would be able to probably send you an email with a little more detail about the technicalities involved in media queries, so that certain objects can be hidden in a mobile, or certain objects can be shown on a desktop. So unfortunately, it's too technical to explain on the line here. But we will come back to you, Agnew. Thanks for asking.
Ankita had a question, and I had tried to attempt answer his question, but I think that is really a very good question, and I'm sure it will be useful for the others also. Ankita is asking, does the user receive two emails for the responsive emails, one for mobile and one for desktop? Or is the coding in such a way that it adjusts itself? Because receiving two emails would not be a good idea. Naresh?
Right. That's true. It's not a good idea to send two emails, and that's what responsive design does. It actually, there is only one email, and certain code shows up when being viewed on a desktop, and certain other code shows up while being viewed on the mobile. So if you were to view the same email at the same time on both these devices, you would see different versions of them without actually clicking on different emails. I mean, that's exactly the same email. One email, one code showing two different versions. Everything is within the email, within the code of the email. The choices to show which content, the choices to show, of course you can't change the subject lines. You can't change the sender. I'm talking about email content, email body. I hope that was answer.
Yeah, surely that definitely was. Yeah, Ankit says thanks. Okay, we have a good question from Divya also. Is there any technology which can help in auto-converting normal emails to responsive?
I believe yes, some ESPs offer that. Some ESPs probably, ESPs as in email marketing software providers, they offer that, or they actually, um, if you use WordPress for your web pages, that's a functionality within WordPress that you could actually convert a web page into a responsive web page. Emails wise, there will be some tweaks and tweaks required, and the software will not be entirely able to help you get this done. To some extent, yes, but to the exact method that you want it to be, to the exact to the exact T that you'd like it to be, there would have to be some service involved in this. There will have to be some design help that you need to get this done.
Guys, I'm just checking out. There are lots of questions that are coming in. I'm just trying to pick up the question so that we can hear from Naresh again. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, Kapil has a question. Out of all promotional emails being opened, what percentage of them are actually opening on mobile? As we are seeing very low percentage.
Right. Couple. Now, the figure that I've pointed out, 51% mobile opens, and those are averages, yeah. And um, are they applicable to everybody? No, they're not applicable to everybody. It's not that if you send out an email to your base, you you will get a 51% mobile open that percentage. That's not the case. It actually depends on your audience, right? So there could be a case if your audience is more than 9 to 5 kind of audience where they're dealing with um, office timings and they're using their desktops mainly and you're communicating them with their desktops and mainly B2B, then it might actually show that most of your mails are being opened on the web or on the desktop, and a mobile email will really not serve a purpose. You need to look at the analytics behind your email opens, and you need to change your tact when you're ready for it, basically, when your audience is ready for it. Not because we're having this webinar and everybody says mobile, mobile, mobile. No, that's not the case. It's also dependent on your particular circumstances. Your analytics need to be looked into, and then you need to take the decision. So I'm going to take the next question.
Okay, Ashwini is asking that it completely makes sense to use mobile emails for B2C customers. Would you suggest to use mobile emails to B2B customers since most of them are corporate IDs?
Uh, this is really an extension to what I answered just now. Ashwini, like I said, if you're dealing with customers, but if you're dealing with customers who are, once again, more 9 to 5, more 9 to 6, and your email analytics are the key. You need to look into your email analytics and take a call to see. Now, for example, mobiles have changed behaviors of people, right? Now, people are opening their mails everywhere. As soon as they wake up, you check your mail. I mean, I do that, and I know most of us over here who own mobile phones, first thing in the morning, let's check our email. People are checking the emails while going to the bathroom, while waiting in lines, but everywhere. I mean, that's one of the best things to do if you're at the in-laws. So the thing is, um, changing behaviors, and that applies across the board, whether you're a corporate person or you're in a corporation or you're looking at it as a B2C, a consumer. Everything boils down to analytics. Any email marketing software will be able to tell you what is the distribution of your mobile versus desktop opens. And within the mobile, what is the distribution of your operating systems itself? You need to look into that and take a call on your strategy, whether it shows you if you're losing out. If your mobile opens are significantly large, and I would say, in excess of 20%, then you need to look at it. You need to look at concentrating on that 20%. 20% is a fairly good number to look at, right? So let's take up the next question, Sudha.
Yes, Krishna just asked that, so how different or benefiting is it to use your service over the currently available services like MailChimp or others?
Okay. All right. Okay. This is a webinar not about Juvlon. So Krishna, I'm going to take this over an email,
Definitely we'll take up one more question. Okay. Divya is asking, 20-40-80 rule is applicable for all size of mobile screens and tabs, is it? Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Kapil just mentioned yes. Yes, Naresh, if you can just help us with the question again.
That applies to every device then. So whether you're on a tab, whether in your desktop, if you're complying to that, then that appears across the board. So and I believe you should comply to that. It's best to try and keep everything, I mean, especially on the digital world, try to keep it crisp, short, sweet. Right, so I believe we've run out of time, and we're going to have this session is being recorded anyway. We're going to have the rest of the questions answered by email. I want to thank you all for attending. It's hopefully you guys have a good midweek holiday planned out for tomorrow. Happy Labor's Day to you. Bye-bye. I think Smita was going to end the seminar. Just a second. Well, I believe Smita has already ended the seminar. Thank you very much for attending. And stay in touch so that we can give you the next seminar that is planned out in the following month. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.